Have you ever heard or said you shouldn't throw away food because there are starving kids in Africa? When you think of Africa, what is the first thing that comes to mind? The first thing you may think of is a red dirt road, ashy starving children, and animals running around. But how exactly is this stereotype embedded in our minds, even for people who haven't even set foot on the continent? Where do these stereotypes start, and how do they become so strongly embedded in our subconscious? When exactly in childhood do we start to form these ideas about different people and different places? Disney movies. Now, hear me out. Most of us grow up watching Disney movies and going to Disney theme parks and looking up to Disney characters. But we rarely, if ever, consider what role Disney plays in indoctrinating children into society. Disney plays a significant role in establishing racial, cultural, and gender stereotypes, as well as being many children's first introduction to a world outside of their own. And this is what brings me to the topic of today's discussion, The Lion King. Particularly how The Lion King creates a certain perception of Africa, African culture, and Black people in general, that shapes many racialized and geographic stereotypes. Disney's 1994 animated film The Lion King follows the story of Simba, a lion prince whose father is killed by his evil usurper brother Scar, who wants to take the throne for himself. While The Lion King is supposed to be a retelling of Shakespeare's play Hamlet, it incorporates a lot of African culture and influence through the location, the music, the languages, and the rituals. The names of the characters are mostly influenced by Swahili. The songs such as The Circle of Life and Hakuna Matata use and incorporate Zulu and Swahili language respectively. And if it isn't clear, Zazu quite literally says that they are in Africa in the song I Just Can't Wait to Be King. I'm just trying to establish that The Lion King is heavily influenced by African cultures, rituals, and traditions, and that African culture is a significant aspect of what makes The Lion King The Lion King. And now that that's been established, I'll go into my first issue with The Lion King. While other cultural Disney films are filled with their own racist and ignorant stereotypes and tropes, Pocahontas takes place in America and has human Native Americans. Aladdin takes place somewhere in the Middle East and has human Middle Eastern characters. Mulan takes place in China and has human Chinese and East Asian characters. Yet The Lion King takes place in Africa and has sentient African animals, meaning instead of characters being human African characters, they are instead animals. Now, this is not a big deal in and of itself, as Disney has several movies built around sentient animals. However, movies such as Bambi, The 101 Dalmatians, Lady and the Tramp, all have human characters in addition to a primarily sentient animal cast. In fact, The Lion King is the only Disney or Pixar movie with no reference to the existence of human beings, no humans are shown on screen, and no human constructs or creations or technology are seen or acknowledged at all in the film. Now, maybe you're saying to yourself that that is just a coincidence or that has no meaning, but think back to the first things that pop into your head when you think of Africa. You may think of nothingness, struggle, or lack of innovation, little to no technology, general poverty. What Disney is suggesting is that Africa is underdeveloped with human beings that are so unevolved that sentient animals are in control of the land, with little to no human intervention or even a trace of human beings existing. These types of stereotypes fuel the idea that Africa has so many natural resources, but Africans that don't know how to use them, thus justifying economic imperialism and large corporations mining resources in Africa at the expense of local communities. Now, another direction I could go in is that Disney is actually trying to suggest that Africans are the equivalent of sentient animals. Now, you could definitely call that a reach, but considering that the only other Disney movie starring a Black person, The Princess and the Frog, the main character Tiana literally spends half the movie as an animal, I wouldn't say it's too outlandish of a conclusion. Now, I'm not saying that Disney is explicitly trying to say that Black people or people of African descent are animals, but the stereotype and the idea that Black people aren't fully human has existed for centuries throughout racist pseudosciences and scientific racism and racial Darwinism. And even till today, the idea that black people are animalistic plays a large role in the justification of violence towards black people and the objectification of black bodies. Now, there have been several videos exploring the colorism and imagery pervasive throughout The Lion King, so I'm not going to spend as much time on it, but I'll first give you Google's definition of colorism just in case anyone is unaware. So colorism is defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Now, in this case, it presents itself with the quote-unquote evil characters being darker than the good characters. For example, Scar, the primary antagonist, has dark hair and darker fur than his brother Mufasa, who is lighter furred and has red hair. All of the other lions, both male and female, including Simba, are lighter than Scar for some reason, despite the fact that he's related to several of the characters and is the same species as them. Likewise, the hyenas, who are the other antagonists of the film, all have darker fur, they're dumber on average than the other characters, and are more likely to be starving than the other lighter-furred lions. This imagery creates an association between light physical characteristics being associated with goodness, kindness, beauty, and positivity, and dark features being associated with evil and negativity. Now that's really all I'm going to go into with regards to colorism. I'm not sure if there are other videos, but I feel like I've seen some in the past about colorism in Lion King, so be sure to check that out. And that's going to take me to my final point, which sums up all that's wrong with this movie in one character. Rafiki is a spiritual leader and a shaman who plays a significant role in performing rituals throughout the film. He helps to present Simba and anoint him at the beginning of the film, and he helps Simba communicate with Mufasa after Mufasa's passed. While Rafiki is meant to represent African spiritual leaders and cultural practices, he serves as an overt caricature of both African culture and spirituality. He is for some reason depicted as being very eccentric and a little off his rocker, and I think that plays a large role in why I feel that he is a caricature of an African traditional spiritual leader. For example, one of my biggest gripes with Rafiki as a character is his accent.
The question is, who are you?
While a majority of the cast, excluding Scar, who has a British accent, has an accent that would generally be considered American of some sort, Rafiki's accent is what I first perceived to be Jamaican or West Indian of some sort. But then I started thinking, is this some kind of attempt at an African accent? And then I just quit trying to understand what accent they were going for. But after looking into it, Rafiki was voiced by Robert Guillaume, who is an African-American voice actor from Missouri. So that begs the question why Rafiki's voice was played like that. Well, I could go into a whole nother video about Hollywood's random use of Jamaican accents, especially in animated characters such as Sebastian the Crab from The Little Mermaid. Rafiki's accent is definitely meant to add a certain level of eccentricity and lunacy to his character, and possibly even create a certain sense of pseudo-spirituality and lunacy to make fun of cultural and spiritual movements that come out of Africa and the African diaspora. All in all, Rafiki as a character represents exactly what I feel is wrong with The Lion King, particularly the idea that we can represent African culture or African rituals or incorporate Africanness without actually having Black or African people being shown on screen. I think one significant area in which I could take most of my points throughout this video in is that ultimately The Lion King is a way to show and use African culture without actually having to deal with African people, and that goes to show just how much the media goes to take things from Black culture and African culture and avoid actually having to deal with Black people. Now, this is by no means a call to action for us to cancel Disney or stop watching The Lion King or to view everything as problematic. And I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you're reading too much into things, like, y'all are so extra, y'all are too woke. No, okay? People do not like to admit the fact that a lot of the things that we have taken in since we were children have taught us to believe in the inferiority and the superiority of people of different backgrounds, racial groups, and genders. Anyways, that's it for the video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree with any parts of the video, if there are any points that particularly stuck out to you, or if you've ever had the same thoughts in the back of your mind but you just couldn't figure out how to vocalize them. And also tell me if there are any other movies or shows or videos that you think would be cool to analyze or review. Anyways, that's it for today, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.